The exercise files for today's course are located in the video description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Joe. I'm going to be facilitating this course for you today. We are back here with Project 365 Advanced version. We have some great examples for you today and we're going to go over some great content. We are going to be using the same project file from the first video. So if you've checked out my project introduction video, we're going to be using that, but we do have it linked right here.
Looking to support our channel and get a great deal? Become a member today to unlock ad-free videos. That's right, your favorite courses without a single ad. Interested in a specific video? Purchase one of our ad-free courses individually. Looking for even more? Gain access to exams, certificates, and exclusive content at LearnitAnytime.com. More information can be found in the video description below.
As we discussed in the last video, these are the 5 phases of project management. We have an initiation phase, a planning phase, an execution phase, a monitoring phase, and then a closing phase. Now, most of what you do in project is happening within the planning phase. We're planning to get a project done. We're estimating durations, adding in costs, and a lot of times, project won't be anywhere in the initiation phase or the closing phase. But it does dive a little bit into the execution phase because we're going to start tracking our actuals and putting them into project. So I'm going to show you how to track our tasks, but just note that this will take place in the execution phase when you're already starting the project. Before we start tracking actuals, the first thing I want to do is just remove my timeline that we created in our first video. We're going to go over to the View tab, and inside of that View tab, we'll head over to the Split View command group and just deselect the little check mark for timeline. Once you do that, you'll see more of an overview of your sheet and your Gantt chart. The next thing I want to do next is talk about how we can start to add in our tasks. And this is important because this comes within the execution phase. We're actually doing these things. So far, all we've been doing is to plan this project out. Now things are getting completed. So let's say that in the planning phase, we want to say, conduct marketing research is done. We've 100% completed it. So we're going to go over to the task tab. And inside of the task tab, we're going to head over to the schedule command group. You'll see up top we have different increments of percentages of complete. So I could say something wasn't completed, or 100% completed, or I can use any of the other ones as well. Let's say that I click on 2.1 task. I'm going to click on my 2.1 task, and I'm going to then click on the 100%. You're going to notice a couple things happen. First off, in our indicator column, we get a little check mark stating that this is 100% completed. Not only that, but if we look on our Gantt chart now, and I'll make it a little bigger for a moment here, you'll see a solid line inside of our bar. So that is the percentage line. You'll see it goes all the way to the end of the task because it's 100% completed. And you'll notice that on the other bar, there's nothing. But let's say we did get a little bit completed on 2.2 task. So I'll just move this back over. Click on 2.2 task, and let's say we're about 50% done with this one. Now, once again, we don't have a way of telling if it's 100% unless we see that check mark only. There's no indicator as to what percentage completed this is, and the only indication is a visual one over here on our Gantt, where we see the solidified bar going through halfway. So we're at 50%. Now, that's all going to change once we talk about our next topic, which is the tracking table, where we can then see those percentages. But before we get into that, let's go over to the Project tab, and we're going to click on Project Information, which can be found in the Properties command group, right here. Once you click on that, in our previous class, we did create a baseline. And to see that, you can go to the bottom left-hand corner and see our statistics. Now, once you click on those statistics there, it's going to open up the statistics for the project where we have the current, start date, finish date, our baseline, which is right on track with where we wanted to start. That's when we're planning on finishing. So we have a 0-day variance. And now we have an actual that's filled out, but because we actually started doing work on this project. We still have NA for finish because, well, we haven't finished the project yet. But now that we have our actuals in, you can see here how many actual days we've been working, 35.62. How many actual hours we've put into this project so far, and how much money we've actually spent on this project so far. We see the remainder for all three, and we see our currents and baselines, which are all matching up, which means that we're still on schedule and nothing has really changed. Towards the bottom here, you'll get another little report that tells you the duration and also how much work was completed. And we're going to talk about the difference between our durations. Our work durations are based off of days, work are based off of the hours within the day. And by default, we have Monday through Friday for a project plan, weekends off, and each day is going to be 8 hours of work. So I'll just close this out just like that. And what we're going to get into next is how we can now see some of those percentages and also a difference between if there's a percentage complete versus a physical percentage complete. When you're tracking actuals, you may not want to be working in this default table, which is known as the entry table. Marking tasks is one thing, but if you want to see actual columns, there's another table for that called the tracking table. So you'll see here we marked 2.1 as 100% complete, and the only indicator at 100% is the check mark, and also looking at our Gantt chart view. For 2.2, however, we marked it at 50% complete, and the only indicator for that is just the Gantt chart. What happens if I want to see that actual 50%? So the way we do this is by going over to the View tab, and inside the View tab, we're going to head over to the Data Command group, and we're going to select Tables. Now at this point, when you click into Tables, you'll see the Entry table, and that's the one that was built in by Microsoft. They give us quite a few different ones as well, like Cost, Hyperlink, Schedule, and you could take a look at those. But the one I really want is the Tracking one, because this is going to offer us actuals, which means when did we actually start or when did we actually finish? What percent complete? What physical percent complete? So let's click into tracking. And we still get our Gantt chart on the side, but now we have a different table. And it has all these different columns like actual start time. So when did we actually start this? Right on time. When did we actually finish? Right on time. We're 100% complete. You'll also see here that we have 2.2, which is at 50% complete. So we have our percent complete column. Now, a lot of people at this moment ask me, what is the big difference between percent complete and physical percent complete? Well, percent complete is the duration. Physical percent complete is how much of the work you actually got done physically. So for instance, for this task 2.2, we've spent 50% of the duration. This is a 15-day task. That means that we've actually worked half of that, 7.5 days. And we have a remainder of 7.5 days because we're halfway through. That doesn't mean that in this 7.5 days, we've done 50% of the work. We could have only done 35% of the work. And that's where physical complete comes in. So half of the duration has passed, but in this 7.5 days, we've only gotten done 35%. And we'll finish the rest of this percentage on the other 7.5 days. So this is really nice if you want to track your physical percent versus just duration. Let's say that we want to start to track our actuals, which means what actually happened. Let's take, for instance, our 2.3 task. And what I'm going to do is just minimize these other tasks. That way we can see mostly just these ones and keep it more simplified. You'll see here on 2.3 that this task is going to take us 16 days. We have a remainder of 16 days duration. Now, once you start entering percentages, like for instance, if we entered in 10%, that means 1.6 days, about a day and a half, we've been working on this task. And we have about 14 and a half days left. So once again, 16 days total. But what happens if we get it done in 14 days? what would happen? Or you can either enter in percentage complete as you saw here. If I put 0 again, it just goes back to 0 days and we have a remainder of 16 days. But if I go over to, let's say, actual duration, and I say that this took us 14 days, watch what happens. I'll put in 14 days. You can either click using our little increment button here, or you could just type in 14. And when you do that, it does the percentage for us. It says, Joe, you're 88% done, and you have 2 days left. But no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to tell the system that I actually completed this in 14 days. Now, you can't do that. You can't just put a 14 here because it's just thinking, oh, well, we know it's 16 days. They actually have 2 days left. That's why it's 88%. Instead, I'm going to click into the remainder, and I'm going to choose now to say that we have 0 days left, meaning we've actually completed this in 14 days instead of 16. This will make it so the system understands that we completed this task in 14 days, and this will become 100%, and our entire project will be done a couple days earlier. So that's how you can change your actuals, what actually happened. We thought it was going to take 16 days, but now I'll click here and put a 0. We've done it in 14 days actually, and now it's at 100% complete, which is great because now we've ended a little earlier. And to showcase that, remember, if we go to the project tab, project information, we can now go to statistics and we can see if we're any days early. And in this case, it didn't really change anything. We're still finishing this on Wednesday, January 8th. So not a big save here, but at least it took us only 14 days instead of 16 days for this particular task. So try this out on your own with a couple of these. Let's say 10 days here for our 2.4. And let's say that we did 50%, which means, of course, 5 days. And we have 5 days left. Let's say it only takes us 8 days. Remember to put in the actual duration of 8 and then to put in a remainder of 0. That way you're telling the system, we're finishing this early. And there we go, 100%. And let's see if that changed. Maybe since we did 2 of those early, it might have changed our statistics. And it did. Look at this. So we were supposed to finish on our baseline. What we captured was we're starting on Monday, ending on Wednesday. But because we finished 2 tasks earlier, now we're ending on Tuesday. So we're saving some time, which is pretty cool. As you can see, this tracking table really gave us another view of our data. And I really like it because we can start to track actuals a little more specifically instead of just seeing the entry table where we don't really have an idea of the percent complete. So this table is very beneficial. Now we can make our own custom tables as well. We can either create a table from scratch or we can actually base a table off of, let's say, this table, the tracking table. Maybe I want to add some more stuff to this. So it's really up to you. And to do this, the first thing you're going to do is go over to the View tab. And inside of the View tab, you'll head over to the Data Command Group and choose Tables. Now, once you click on Tables, you'll see here, once again, all the built-in tables that Microsoft gave us. And if you go over to the bottom, you'll see more tables. Or you can make changes to this table and then save it as a new table. So it's totally up to you on if you want to create one from scratch or create one built off of another one. Now, I'm just going to simply click on more tables here, and it's going to pop up this dialog box where we can take a look at all the other tables we have access to. And instead of choosing to create a brand new table, which you can, I want to actually copy a table. So let's click on the tracking table because I really like that one, but I want it to have baseline values too. That way I can see when was I supposed to estimate, end, or start, or finish my tasks. So I'm going to click on the table here, tracking. I'm going to choose copy. And it's going to pop up this dialog box where we can name this. Now, I'm just going to name it tracking with, let's say tracking with my baseline values. Yeah, that looks good. So tracking with my baseline values. Now at the moment, it's going to show you all of our different columns. It shows us the name of the tasks, the actual start, actual finish, percent complete, and we can choose which ones we want to get rid of. For instance, I don't mind right now about the actual work. I can click on it and I can just delete this. Or maybe I don't want actual cost neither. So you can just press the delete key on your keyboard. What I do want to add, however, is I'm going to actually insert a row. And this works kind of like an Excel table. I want to have my actual start, but I want to have my baseline start as well. But I want it to be underneath it. So just like Excel, to insert a row, it's going to go above wherever you're selected. I'm going to select actual finish and choose insert row. Once I do that, it'll insert between start and finish. Click the drop down, and now we can go look for baseline start and baseline finish. So there's my baseline start. And then I'm going to click percent complete and insert a row and choose baseline finish. Now that I've done that, I'll click OK. But before I click OK, just note that when you click into this little table selection here, you'll see that list of built-in tables that Microsoft created. If you don't want to have to go looking for this table that you've now created, you can actually showcase in the menu by checkmarking Show in Menu. That way you don't have to go searching for it, it'll just be at the top. So I'm going to select Show in Menu and then click OK. And then you can close this. Now when you click on tables, you'll see Microsoft's tables, but then you'll see your tracking with my baseline values table that you just created. And you can click on it. And how cool is this? We now have actual start, baseline start, actual finish, and baseline finish. And as you can see, because we ended early on some days, that instead of ending on, let's say the actual was the 23rd, we were supposed to end on the 27th, but we saved some time. Same thing with our 2.4 task. We were supposed to end on Tuesday the 10th, but we ended early because we got it done quicker on Friday the 6th. And the best part about this table is you can scroll over a little bit and you can even add more columns that you want. So let's say that I want to add another column, maybe to see the baseline cost. And there we go. You can add as much as you want here. So even though Microsoft does give us some great tables that we can utilize, we can create our own. Now, I showed you how to build this table based off of a table that already exists. I just want to show you what it looks like if you will create a new table. So let's click back onto table and go to more tables. At this point, we can click new to create a new table. But before we do that, it's important to note that the table you just created, this one right here called tracking with my baseline values, this is only living in this project. If you open up another file, it may not be there, depending on how you organize it. Let's say that I know I'm going to use this table in all of my future projects. I'm going to click on it and go to Organizer. And you're going to see here the global Microsoft. And this is going to be every table that is in the actual application. And then you're going to see product alpha launch, which is this specific file, and all the tables that are in here. You will notice that if I want to, I can take this and copy it over into my organizer. So I'm going to say copy over. I'll say yes. And now I can use this table in all my future projects, which is nice. You're moving it a copy, not actually just moving it, but making a copy from your one file to the actual project application. And this is really cool because now I can use it all the time. Now, as for creating a new table, you just click new and it's just a blank list here. So you can truly put in whatever you want and then name the table. So take a moment and try that out on your own. Create a table from scratch, choosing what fields make sense for you. I'll click cancel, close, and give you some time to do that. Let's take a moment to switch back to our entry table. We're going to go once again to the View tab, and inside of the View tab, we're going to go to the Data Command group and choose Tables. We're going to go back to our default view, entry, and that's the one that Microsoft gave us right away. I'm going to make my Gantt chart a little smaller here so we can see at least the resource names. And what we're going to talk about next is when we have to actually move a project. Currently, this project is going to be starting on June 3rd, 2024. And now that we got all the information, we can actually start this project sooner than expected. We're going to move it up by about, let's say, 2 weeks. So instead of going in and updating all the actual starts, what we can do is allow for project to do the work for us. We can do that by going up to the project tab, and inside of the project tab, going over to the schedule command group and choosing move project. We're going to choose that option. It's going to pop up this dialog box, and it's going to say that this project contains actual values. Do you still want to move it? And we're going to say yes, that's fine. We'll just move it, and we'll say that we got those done because we marked some of them as completed or being worked on. Or if you want to just try this out right now, what we could do is click into each of these, all the ones that we put the actuals in, go back to tasks, and click on 0%. Then we can go over, and you'll see that we're going to get some conflict resolutions because we did change some of the dates here. We can just change it back to what it was. We could just say that this is going to take us 16 days, and we'll say that this is going to take us 14. However you like to do this, totally up to you. But once you set up everything, you can then go over once again to the project and choose to move the project. I'm going to keep my actuals on here because I don't mind. And I'm going to say moving the project will put the dates where the actuals were reported. And I'll say that's fine. I'm going to choose this new project start date. And I'll say that it's going to take 2 weeks beforehand, so on the 20th. And I'm going to click OK. It'll also give you the option to move any deadlines as well. I'm going to click OK on this. And there we go. It moves everything nice and neatly here. And we know now that we're going to finish this on December 24th, 2024. Now at this point, once again, we do have a conflict here. This one wasn't done yet, so you could just put this task at 100% if you wanted to and get rid of that conflict. Because we already did the planning phase, we'll pretend. And there we go. We've now moved this project successfully. And this is the easiest way to move your project without actually going in and changing all the different durations or start and finish date. In our previous exercises, we actually hid some of our tasks. We're going to actually go back over here to each summary task and click the little icon. That will allow for us to expand out and see all of the other tasks as well. So there we go. That's our full list. Now, sometimes you may want to filter your task list. Now, this is a short list, but sometimes they can be quite long, occupying hundreds of rows that I've seen. And sometimes you just want to see certain types of things, or you want to maybe see if all of your tasks are completed or maybe incompleted, and we can do that by applying filters. Now, there's two ways to filter your tasks in Project. You can either do it from the ribbon, which would be in the View tab. You'd go over to the Data command group, and you click on Filter. So that's one way we can do this. Another way is just to click the drop downs right over here on your headers. So these are your field names here. You can click the drop down and you can start to filter. And they have quite a few. So this is more of a traditional filter. There are built-in filters within this filter command on the ribbon. If I click on this drop down, let's say I just want to see all the tasks that are maybe incomplete. I'll click on incompleted tasks, and anything that was at 100% is now not here. If I choose to change, let's say 2.5, I'll change that to 100%. And we can do that right here. Now I have my check mark here. And then also I'll do my milestone at 100% as well. And now to actually reapply that filter, all we need to do is go back to View and just choose it again. And then it will update it. Just like that. And then if I want no filter, I could just click on no filter. But they have quite a few of them. Whether you want to look at active tasks or completed, or critical tasks just means they're on their way of being late and we need to get them done as soon as possible, or you could see your late tasks. And you have quite a few other ones that you can either create by clicking on New Filter, or you can also display auto filters as well and turn those off. But those are on by default, so I like to display them. And once again, you can choose what you want. So if I want to see all of the resources that are just for me, I could just choose myself and click OK. Now this is all the stuff that I'm part of. So it's really nice that we can filter, and you can always clear all your filters by just clicking Clear Filter, or by going to the filters and choosing Clear Filters. The only time this will not be available is if there's any filters that are on or not on. So if I have no filters on right now, doesn't matter even if I click it, it's going to be the same result. So take a moment and try that out. Try some filters that you can just do right here from the columns. Try some filters that you can do that are pre-built in. And if you want to try to create your own new filter, you can click into that. You'll see here that we have our and ors, where we can create a filter, choose the name, choose what the logical test is, and what the values are. So for instance, maybe I only want to see tasks that are 13 days duration. So I could go here, go to, let's say, duration. You can just click the D on your keyboard to get you to duration faster. I can use the comparison operator, equals, and I could put 13. And then I'll just call this 13 days duration. And then when I click apply, you'll see I only have my two tasks, 4.1 and 4.2, that are 13 days in duration. And if it stays right there, you can use that custom one whenever you want. I could go to no filter and then choose to turn it back on again. So a lot of fun stuff here. Take a moment and try this out. Go through all the different types of filters that you can. And then we're going to talk about being able to highlight our data as well. Filtering allows for us to see specific things instead of seeing all of our tasks. But what happens if you do still want to see all your tasks, but you visually want to see a condition? For instance, let's say that I want to see highlighted all of my tasks that aren't completed yet. Instead of just filtering for it and then not seeing all my tasks, I can go to the same place we just were, where we go to the View tab, Data Command Group, and you'll see right here is Highlight. And if you click into that dropdown, you can highlight, once again, built off of any custom filters. These are shared. You can take a look at incompleted tasks. And now it's highlighting all my incompleted tasks. So where filters will just showcase only incomplete tasks, highlighting allows you to see all your tasks, plus you can visually specify what you want. So if I just want to see my completed tasks, here we go. And you can create your own new highlight filters as well, the same way that we did it with the regular filters. And that's why we have access to using our custom 13-day duration that we created before and highlighting it. Then once I'm done, I can click No Highlight, and we go back to normal. Now, if you click into the Tasks tab, just note that you don't always have to just use that highlight button. If you wanted to, you can format any of this. So for instance, if I want all of my planning phase to look a certain way, I can select it all and choose the little bucket icon to actually change the color of the cell. So maybe I want these to be all blue. Maybe I want this to be red. This one's going to be green. And let's do, for this one, let's do orange. And there we go. So now we're color coding. So you could just use the highlight to highlight specific tasks that you want, or you can even use color code to color code your entire task list. So far, we've gone over filtering and also being able to highlight our tasks. The other thing that you can do is group your tasks. But just a quick warning, if you are going to group your tasks, your Gantt chart is going to become unusable because it's not going to make sense the way that they group it. So just keep that in mind. If you are going to group, you could just minimize your Gantt chart by clicking and dragging. And there you go. Now you'll see that grouping is going to be found in the View tab, and inside of that View tab, you'll see it in the Data Command group. Underneath Highlight and Filter, just like we were before, the last option is Group By. And you can select what you want to group by, whether you want to group by active or inactive, or auto-scheduled versus manually scheduled. You can even group by duration. So I'll select duration, and you'll see now all of our tasks have 0 days, 3.75 days, and it groups them nicely. But if we look at our Gantt chart, one thing kind of becomes unusable because look what it looks like. Kind of all over the map. So it doesn't really make sense. It's not sequential. So that's why I say we probably won't use it. If you want to stop grouping, just go back to the drop down and choose no group. You can also group by creating a new group and choosing what the conditions or criteria are. But yeah, take a moment and try this out. I'll group by resources and we'll see everything that I have to do, what me and Sarah have to do, Lisa and Sam have to do. And there you go. And I'll just put no group again. Microsoft Project gives you the ability to create project reports. Now you'll find all of the project reports on the Reports tab. So if you go to the top, click into Report tab, you'll see all of the different reports you can view. Whether you want to create a new report, or maybe create a dashboard, or take a look at some of the custom reports. We're going to be talking about all the different reports, and I'll walk you through what each of them does. And then what we'll do is take a look at our dashboard and also visual reports. Let's get started with our resource reports. Resource reports are great. It allows for you to take a look at your resources. So if we click on the little drop down next to resources, we can see there's 2 reports, over allocated resources and resource overview. Let's click into over allocated resources. This report has 2 charts, none of which are populated because, well, again, we don't have any over allocated resources in our project plan. But it would show you the actual and remaining work, as you can see in the work status. Not only that, but we also have an over allocation chart as well, and it would show you any actual over allocations. The next report is going to be what's known as the Resource Overview report. And once again, you can always go to the Report tab to find all of these reports. So we'll go to Report tab and click on Resources again. In the Resource Overview report, you'll see that we have 2 charts in a table. The first chart is a combination chart, and its columns are aligned here with actual work, remaining work, and baseline work. And then we also have here our work status, where it'll show you the percentage completed. So if you start to track actuals, you'll see how much I've done towards the project, or Sarah, or Sam, or even Lisa. The table, this is going to be showcasing the resource status. So when I actually started work and when I finished it, and how many remaining work hours that I have. It's important to note that all of these reports are actually customizable, which means I can click on any of these and I'll get a pane over to my right-hand side where I can start to add more fields or change the filter or even group or sort these reports. We're going to go over how we can do that in a moment, but let's talk about some of the other report options that we have up top. You'll notice that we do have what's known as cost reports. And these reports are great because we have so many. We have cash flow, cost overruns, earned value reports, resource cost overview, and task cost overview. Now, let's say that we wanted to take a look at the cost overruns, for instance. This one's going to have 2 charts and 2 tables. You have a task cost variance chart, where it will show you if there was any variance between what your baseline was, or maybe we even saved money. And then we have the resource cost variance. And once again, we're going to be saving money here. And the reason being is, if you remember in the previous example, we actually saved some time in our day, so we didn't have to pay the workers so much. And then we have here the start project, all of our different task names, and the percentage complete. And then over here, we have how much our baseline was, and then if there was any cost variance. You'll see that Sam and Lisa actually had a baseline of $26,000 we quoted them for, but because we finished early on some of those tasks, we actually ended up only paying $25,000 which means we saved about $1,280. Another report here in our costs is cash flow. So you can see here the actual cost, our baseline cost, and how much we have remaining. And you'll see the variance once again because we ended those 2 days early. Going back over to the cost report, we have earned value reports. These are nice as well to see if there's any earned value. Now you will notice that we have 2 things here. We have the EAC, which is our earned value, and we also have the ACWP, the BCWP as well. And it'll even showcase what the actual cost was or what the baseline cost was. So you'll see over here that all of our charts do come with learning more. So if you're like, I don't really know, what these acronyms mean, you can always go back over here and read about them, which is nice. Going back over to the costs, we can also take a look at resource cost overview. This will showcase 2 charts. One is going to be that clustered column with a line, so a combined chart. And then we also have a pie chart over here with cost details at the bottom. We have our task cost overview, and this is going to show us the cost status. So what has actually been paid out already and what's remaining. And then if we're on track for the baseline, we'll see here the status complete and future tasks that need to be completed, and then a cost details sheet at the bottom. Once again, you can add as many tables or charts to these as you want, or you can create your own custom ones. Next up, we also have what's known as our in progress reports. Now, I really do like the in progress reports. These will show us critical tasks, so tasks that may be about to be a little late. We don't really want them to be late, but if they do slip, for instance, these tasks, if any of them are changed, will make the entire project late. If you change other tasks that are not listed here, well, then you're good to go. You can actually change those. In progress, we also have late tasks. Now, we don't have anything late, which is good news. So if there's nothing here, that's good. We have milestone reports. So you'll see late milestones that are coming up or ones that have been completed. You can see that we do have the start project, which is completed because we marked it at 100%. And then we also have here slipping tasks. Once again, tasks that if we change them in any way, then they could slip into a late category. You will notice that we do have a little tutorial where it'll even tell you to learn tips and tricks about project. If you click on this Get Started, you have Best Practice Analyzer, Create Reports, Getting Started with Project. If you click into one of them, it's a fun little presentation that will walk you through how to organize tasks or create reports, or even share this project with your team. You can go through and just click Start. It's a fun little, like I said, presentation here that you can go through. So you have organized tasks, creating dynamic reports, sharing with your team. Pretty amazing. And you can look through all of those. Those are really nice. What we're going to talk about next is how we can customize our own report. And we can create new reports by going to New Report and creating it from scratch. And then they will show up here in the Custom Report section. Okay, now that we know a little bit more about our report section, I want to show you how we can actually edit the report layouts. So any of those reports that you saw here in our report tab, you can actually click on any of these and start to change them around, depending on what your needs are. Let's say I go to the in progress and I want to take a look at, maybe just my critical tasks or even my milestone reports. You'll see here that it gives us our main milestone report, tells us if there's any past due milestones or if there's any upcoming or the ones that have been completed. This is great information. But maybe I want to add some more here. So I'm going to go over to my report design, and this is where we can start to add things like text box. We can add tables or charts, shapes, or even company logos. I'm actually going to add a company logo real quick. Take a look. I'm going to go with this one. And I'll add it right over here. Just make it feel a little more like our own report. I'll also put in a table over here as well. And I'm thinking that this table is going to have the name, the start, the finish, and the percentage complete. But I do want to add a little bit more to this table. Let's do my layout. My layout looks pretty good. You'll see here we can change the height, the width, text direction. And then if I want to take a look at my table data, I can do that as well. But yeah, I'm going to double click into here to see my field list. And I'm thinking what I also want to see here is, let's see, the percent of work complete. All right, 64%. That's not bad. And what else can we do? Let's look at the work. There are so many different things you can choose from. Let's take a look at other work. Maybe we want to take a look at the status of everything, future task. And this just looks great. We can just start to build this out. Maybe I want to see some of the costs, actual cost. I'm going to make this a little bigger. And there we go. That looks awesome. Now, right now, we're just looking at the overall project, but we can choose what we want to look at, whether we want to see, instead of just the project summary, all the subtasks. That looks really nice. Or we can also take a look at, let's do level 1. So now we're looking at our subtasks as well as our summary tasks, or just level 2. Or let's try level 3. And there we go. We are now starting to edit our report layouts. This wasn't in the original report layout for this milestone report, but you can change them anytime you want. Now we have a nice looking report and information that makes sense to us as well. Now, as you can see here, we customized this report layout, but this wasn't our report. It was actually one that Microsoft gave us, and we chose our milestone report. We can create our own custom reports as well. And even though this might sound a little confusing, you would think that going to custom, you would see it. But no, custom is going to show you all the reports you already created. In order to actually create a custom report, you have to go to new report. And then we can start with either a blank or a chart or a table or even a comparison. Let's say I want to start just blank. I'll name this report. I'll call it Joe's main report. We'll have to just change that Joe's apostrophe. We'll just say Joe main report. Now, of course, this doesn't make sense here. It kind of says Joe main report, and well, I'd rather it say Joe's main report. But I do want to add just apostrophe S. Now, you'll notice that if you try to start typing in here, it doesn't work. And this is just a little bit of a bug that's been in the system for a while. You actually have to go in a couple times, right click on it, exit editing, go back in, and then you can start typing. I don't know why it does this, but if it still happens to you, just right click once again, edit, exit, edit, and then click back in and you can start typing. I don't know. It's just a funny little bug, but it's fixable. Now I put Joe's main report here. I'm going to just put that up a little more there. And this is where we can start to once again use the report design to add in charts and shapes and things that we want. Maybe I want to add in, let's do a table again. And this time for this table, let's do the start and finish is fine, percent complete. I do want to put in who the resource is, and I also want to see the cost of the report. So what is my cost? There we go. And I'll make this a little bigger. We'll then change it. I do not want to just see the summary. Let's actually see all the subtasks. And for this, we can start to change it. We can choose to filter certain ones, like maybe I just want to see completed tasks. And there we go. We're seeing everything that's completed. So this is a nice look at my start, everything that I've completed so far. But I don't want to just use this. I also want to have a nice chart over here. So I'm going to go to report design, chart. I think I'll use a pie chart. That sounds good. And we can see all the work that's being done. So maybe you want to see the budget work or actual work that's happening. We can choose whichever makes sense. So let's see our actual work there. Make it a little bigger. That looks good. We'll put it over here. And now we're just creating our own customized report. We can then add in, once again, images, logos. I'll do my logo again. Make that a little smaller. Put it right over there. And now we have a nice little report. And of course, we can continue to add things to this report. I'll just go down a little bit more. And let's do one more thing. Let's go to shape. Add in some fakes here. Maybe a little star. This could be like a star report. Yeah, that's cool. And I think that'll look good. Let's actually change the color to this. I want this to be there. It is. That looks a lot nicer. And there we go. We now have Go's main report. Now, once you create the report, to access this report later on, we're going to have to go back to the report. And you'll see here under Customize, now we have Go's main report. I know that it seems a little weird to have to go to New Report, create the custom, and then go to Custom. You'd think the button would be right here. That's okay. Just always remember, if you want to create a custom report, New Report, you can choose any of these templates that pre-exist. Then go back over to Custom once the report's done. And you can take a look at some of the reports I've done in the past. This one's a really awesome one, just overview report. Or go back to this main report. Another type of report I really like to use is known as a visual report. You can find these over here on the export command group under the report tab. And what this report allows for us to do is actually export this to visual report within two applications, Visio and Excel. So when you click into visual reports, it might take a moment because it is gathering the information from the other applications. And you'll see here that it's showing both templates from Microsoft Visio, Microsoft Excel. If you use Visio or Excel, this is the place to be. If you don't use Visio, you can just deselect it and see all of the Excel reports, or vice versa. You can just select Visio and deselect Excel. And it gives you nice little previews here of what it's going to look like. But we're going to keep things simple today with an Excel report. And I just want to go with a cost report here. And I'm going to choose to view it. Once I do that, it's going to gather all the information, build the OLAP, and then it's going to take this Excel report and put it into Excel. You'll see that it turns it into a pivot chart, which I love. And we can quickly start to take our fields and change the way this report looks. We also have filtering capabilities as well. So if you click the drop down, you can start to see, okay, maybe I just want to look at 2024. And now we're just looking at 2024. Or we can say, I want to see all of them. But it's solely up to you on how you truly want to see these reports. And there we go. And I'll just select all again. So our cost, our baseline is going to be $67,000. This is for that product alpha launch. This is our planning phase. And we can see this cost is going to be $64,008, and this one's $64,008 as well. So it's showcasing all the information for our planning phase, manufacturing phase, what we've already spent in cost. Once we end the project, of course, then you'll see here, these are the milestones. There won't be anything start, but we do have our finishing as well, pre-launch preparations, and so on and so forth. If you want to take a look at the tasks, you can always just click to dive deep into, okay, I just want to look at planning phase. And maybe I just want to look inside of the planning phase under conduct marketing research. So just pick and choose what makes sense. Click OK. And there we go. That's going to be your baseline cost, your actual cost so far after you completed, and what your planned cost was. So it looks like we are right on schedule with cost. We're not over budget. We are at the exact budget that we wanted. We've gone over all different types of reports, and if we combine those together, we can actually take a look at some of the dashboards that Microsoft gives us. It's still going to be in the Report tab, but you'll see in the Report tab under the View Reports command group, we actually have an option for dashboard, and they have quite a few of them. We can look at the burn down dashboard, and it gives us our work burn down and our task burn down as well. We can take a look at our cost overview. I really like this dashboard a lot. It's one of my favorite ones. Progress versus cost. So how are we doing on percent complete? It looks like we're doing good. The cost is going up a little bit. We do have a cost of $108,000, and then we have a remainder, and we're at 49% complete. So we're almost like halfway, a little less for that remaining cost. And then we have the cost status of what we've spent, where we spent it, and if there was a variance. You'll see once again the cost went up a little more because we do have a little bit of a variance. We were supposed to do a baseline cost of $67,000, but the actual cost was a little less. So that's good news. And you'll see here the cost status as well, what's remaining, what the actual cost was, because the planning phase is completed. This one's going to be fully in orange. These ones are going to be remainders. Another one that we have access to is the project overview, another favorite of mine. It tells us that we're 100% complete with start and planning phase. We haven't really started on any of these other phases. It gives us our percentage and then any milestones that are due or coming up. This next one is also known as the upcoming tasks. So it'll just showcase anything that's upcoming or starting soon. Nothing so far, so we're good to go. And then our work overview as well. Our percentage work complete, how many hours we've worked, how many are remaining. And then you'll see here, this is a nice work breakdown. It's going to show you how much you have left. So those are all the different dashboards. Of course, once again, you can create your own dashboard report by going to the new report, and you can do like a comparison. It's still going to be under custom, but you can call it a dashboard if you like. It's just a bunch of reports being put together into one page. But yep, all these reports are available to you. All of them, once again, are just really amazing. This one being one of my favorites, and also the cost. Now that we've talked about some of these reports, the next thing I really want to talk to you about is, let's change it back to our Gantt chart, changing into a template mode. See, they have amazing templates for us. But what we could do is create our own templates as well. So I want to showcase how to do that. I'll just save what I have so far here. And let's actually open up a brand new project. Let's go like this. And I'm going to just do a blank report. Now at this point, what I would do if I was starting off with a project template is exactly what we did when we were going through the other sections of this course. I would start off by taking just placeholders and putting them in as my task mates. This is really something that I like to do, and you can use any type of durations if you want, just to showcase examples. You don't have to add durations, but as long as you have some sort of hierarchy, that's better. So what I would do is I would call this the start, and then I would call this the milestone, start milestone. And of course, since it's milestone, I'll already add in the duration of 0. And then I would just do the same thing. I would say summary, task 1. And just to keep this simple, I would just do something like that. Or if you want to go in sequential order, you can do something like this. Sorry, task 2. So like both of these. And then summary task 3. And summary task 4. There we go. So now that I have my summary tasks, I usually put in 4 just for this project template. And I can start to put in tasks underneath it. So I'm going to insert my task. And I'll put in about 3 of those. Once again, you could just do something like this. and then just do the next one as well. And then you just do it again. So if I want to take this, you can copy it. We'll do some pasting here, paste it again, and paste it again. And then you could just change these back to what they were. And I like to put about like 4 of them in there, once again, just to keep things very simple for everyone. I'll just do subtask 1, subtask 2, subtask 3, and subtask 4. Copy these and paste. Now I'll create the hierarchy already just so that they don't have to worry about this. So let's say I'll go over to project. Let's go back over to our task and let's create some hierarchies. Boom. Select these 4 hierarchy. Select these 4 with a hierarchy. And these ones. And then I'll do my last one, which is the end milestone. And then put 0 days for that. Now at this point, you can start putting in like durations if you want. If you want to just keep it simple, you could do like 5, 10, 15, 20. Just so you're given examples. Of course, they're going to fill this out anyway on their own, but at least they'll have a nice template to follow. I'll just do this for all of them. And then if you did want to already put in predecessors and create relationships on these tasks, you're more than welcome to. The first thing I would do here, though, is select all of these and then auto schedule them. So make sure they're already in auto scheduled mode. And then you can start to create the relationships between these. Remember, you just click the link icon. And I'll just do that for each of these. And it keeps everything very uniform. 50 days, 50 days, 50 days. And of course, they'll just start filling that stuff out. Once we have this, don't forget your summary tasks. Hold down the control key to select all of those. I'll even associate it with my milestone. And there it is. It's looking great. So at this point, we have a Gantt chart look. We already have this tasks built out. The last thing I would do now is save this as a template. I'll go to File, Save As. You can choose Browse. You're going to change this to Microsoft Project Template. And it will automatically put it in its own zone. You do not want to change the location after you choose Project Template. Keep it where it is. And then I'll just say Company Project Template. And I'll click Save. Now it's going to ask you, you're about to save as a template. You can choose what you want to remove. Do you want to remove values of all baseline, things like that? We didn't put any of that in there. That's what they're going to put in there after they decide what the project is about. So I'll just click Save. Now at this point, I can exit out of this. And later on, when I go to start my project, and I'll just choose my computer. Now it's going to be one of the templates. If you don't see it here as a template, just go over to More Templates. Give that a click. Go over to Personal. And when I say personal, a lot of people will like see personal down here sometimes as suggested search. I'm bringing out right next to Office. And you'll see Company Project Template. Give it a click. Click Create. And look at that. That's pretty cool. And now it's just called Project 1. They can save it as whatever they want. And that template will always be there. So that's how you can create templates for other people in your company. And yeah, it's a pretty awesome feature. It allows them to now just put in the info and you did all the work for them. One of the last things we're going to talk about in this course is being able to affect admin options. This is something that's important, especially if you have different work weeks or different hours that the company works. Let's go over to File, and in the File tab, we're going to go to the Options right down here and give that a click. I'll open it back to that main interface, but now you'll have your project options. They do have all your options, and they're all in categories. Your general options will see how you want to start your project view. You'll notice this one did come with a timeline. If you really don't like that timeline, you never use it, you always hide it, then just click the dropdown and choose to do a Gantt chart without the timeline. You can pick what your default view is right away. So when you open up a new file, it only starts with the Gantt chart and you don't have to worry about seeing the timeline. You can also choose your gate formats as well, who the user's initials are, and of course you can do some really cool like background and themes. These aren't really something I use anymore just because of the new update. They don't access them. See here, you don't see the clouds at all anyway. You can go into your display, choose what symbols you use for currency. So if you're working on a project that uses a different currency, you don't have to use just the US dollar. You can use any. You can also change Gregorian, or you could do like a Thai Buddhist calendar, whatever is making sense for this project. Schedule as well for this project. You can choose when the week starts, the fiscal year, default start times, end times, and hours per day, hours per week, and also days per month. So this is something that comes really in handy, especially if you're with a company that doesn't just do traditional business hours. You can quickly change this. And they have all sorts of different options you can go through and see, like duration are entered in days by default. If you're like, no, I'm constantly using hours, then just choose hours instead. For proofing, this is just for autocorrect options. You can see fields to check like name, task, notes, tasks, and when they will correct boot. Your saving options, where it's going to save the default file location. Language, if you want to choose a different language as well. And then some advanced options too, like Planning Wizard. I really like that. You have prompt for project info for new projects. And you can scroll down and see all the different types. How you display the options. So if you're like, how do I do years? Oh, YR. How do I do months? If you want to do MON, right? You can look the drop down. There's so many different ones. And then we have customize the ribbon if you want to add different custom ribbon tools. I had my own Joe's tools that I've created, or even affect the quick access toolbar, what goes up here. Add-ins, if that's something you use, or even the trust center. So those are the different options. You could take a moment to try those out on your own, see what makes sense. And they're pretty straightforward, like I said, so nothing too cryptic. And then once you're done, click OK, and you're all set.